What is up, you beautiful people? I have another video interview or a podcast with my boy Rishabh Dev, and to introduce him, I have so many words. Like sometimes in Alpha Club, people pay me money, but I learn a lot from them. Rishabh is one of those people. He is a phenomenal growth marketer, and he has developed his own framework of marketing, which is the A3R3 funnel. We'll talk about that. And he has been working especially with women centric D2C brands, helping them scale. He has $1 million case studies, and in this interview or in this podcast, we'll be digging his brain, and trying to figure out how exactly he does what he does, right? So yeah, Rishabh, I would love for you to like share like a 60-second intro to our audience.
Sure. Everything Jayan does is, it's very specific. So I have 60 seconds to introduce myself. There's a framework for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will. Since I'm a guest today, I will break some rules.
All right. Cool.
So let's start. I think the best place to start is how I started, which was as a freelancer. So I started as a freelancer when I was still back in college. Started hustling, trying to figure out what are the projects where I could make some arbitrage money. So I was only interested in arbitrage money, wherein it was basically like I can hire people for cheap and charge more for clients, which basically I did not know is eventually going to become an agency business, and which is what it has. So right now I'm running an agency which does around $250,000 a year in revenue, and we are doing decent profit margins because of, again, the arbitrage, which is what I've been focusing my attention on.
Yeah.
So we get international clients and we work with freelancers in Asia, small teams, small agencies, a lot of third party work, don't hire too many full-time employees, and that's like the lean agency system that I've developed.
But how do you trust them though? Like how do you know that the quality of work is good?
Yeah, the good place to start is like just people I've been working with for so many years. I think time is one of the benefits that I've had. So since I started freelancing in 2009, the full-time agency was already up and running in 2012.
Okay.
So there's been so many people that I've been working with for the years, and they have their own case studies, and then we build and stack up on top of them.
Oh, all right. So how does that work? Like you basically find a client, and here you find like a manager or something, like you take care of this project. And does he communicate
Right.
with
So
the client, or are you the face of the company mostly?
the project manager is always in house. Like that's
Okay.
the important thing to note, because that's something you don't want to rely on third party.
Ah.
So you want to have two or three really key people in house, which is what we do. I mean, I have less than three people on my payroll with a $250,000 agency.
Whoa.
So first of all, it's possible for those who think it's not possible. But more importantly, it's about deciding who are those key people who should be on your payroll, and then who are the people that can be outsourced. So in my particular case, since I work with e-com brands, I know project manager, account manager, and strategist are like three
Hmm.
people that I want to keep in house. But then specific channels, whether it's Facebook ads, Instagram, Google ads, email marketing, SMS marketing, influencer management, those specific channels can be developed. The SOPs can be developed in house, but then they can be outsourced to freelancers and other, even
Oh,
other
okay,
agencies.
okay. So, for example, like one of the things that we do here is like we have a key account manager who kind of strategizes, manages everything, and delegates the task to the team, like writing the cold
Right.
emails, setting up instantly. छोटे छोटे काम होते हैं basically.
Yeah.
That is the part
Yeah.
you outsource, but the management is something that you do in house. That's about it, right?
Exactly. Because if the person who's talking to the client should be in house, the person who's managing the entire project, and the person who's overseeing the strategy, I feel like these are three things where you want to train people, you want to make them better, you want to keep pushing their limits. While the other things, you want people to follow SOPs, and that does not need to be something that you sit and make people do, because then you have everything documented. We use ClickUp, all the SOPs are documented there.
Hmm.
People just go in and tuck, step by step. I have to do this. Next step is to slice the email. Next step is to put it on Klaviyo, like whatever that SOP is.
Yeah.
But then the point is just about executing that SOP.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. But let's say one management team, how many clients can they handle at a time?
So I work with very few clients, and like that's one of the things that I have never been ambitious about is how many clients can I get. I have
All right.
always been ambitious about the revenue per client, or the average retainer size per client.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that that's like a more important metric for me. I mean, to be very honest, I'm doing this $250,000 with less than four clients. So
A
if
quarter
you put
million is
a
about what, 20, 22, $25,000
yeah,
a month?
so
Yeah.
somewhere between we easily do between 20 to 25,000. So 20,000 is more or less like fixed, but then there are some bonuses, so it
Hmm.
can go up to 25 in some months.
Yeah.
And if you look at the average retainer, it starts at around 3 to 4K, and then we scale it up. And
Ah.
this has been something that I had shared recently as well. There's a client that we actually scaled to 15K recently a
Okay.
month. So scaling, I think one thing I've learned, I've gotten really good at, is upselling and cross selling within agency services.
Hmm.
So I want to increase the lifetime value of my clients, just like I want to increase the lifetime value of their customers
Of course.
in their D2C stores.
So how does that upselling and cross selling happen? I mean, I know this, but let's also
Yeah,
talk to our
yeah, yeah,
audience.
yeah. Let's break it down. I mean, it comes back to the full funnel, right? So
Yeah.
I speak about the HCR3 funnel, and for me, what I tell clients is, of course, you're gonna acquire users from Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, or whatever that is, but that CAC over time is always going to go up, no matter how creative you get,
Hmm.
because the economy is like that, right? So the ad cost in general will go up. So no matter how many A/B tests you run, how many experiments, you can improve your own campaigns, but overall, the market is headed in that direction where CAC goes up over time.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that you can do is improve LTP. I mean, LTV. So if you ask a business owner, like, what are the only two things that, if you were to measure only two metrics, it's just CAC and LTV, no matter what business it is, right? So this is like generic to all businesses.
Hmm.
So in ecom, if you can only control CAC with your performance marketing, top of funnel or whatever, then you need to do something else to increase the LTV, which could be retention marketing, which could be referral marketing, which could be affiliate marketing. And
Okay.
those are the upsells and cross sells, right?
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
the
Okay.
basic funnel that has to be set up to acquire customers is the main service. And then all of these things that improve the LTP, they all fall into this upsell and cross sell bucket,
Hmm.
right?
Okay. Okay. Got it. So this means like you have like a lead mag, not, I want to say lead magnet, like a tripwire offer. Like, I'll do the retention marketing for you, but then you
A
figure out,
tripwire offer which costs $3,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is only possible with an agency model. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They have to be voluntarily willing to trip,
Yeah.
uh, unlike an ebook. So that's
Yeah.
that's the difference, and that's why I love the agency services, because people can only imagine, like, usually people talk about starting at $1,000 and then we'll slowly scale it up. I'm seeing how can I get clients that can pay me 10K retainers, because when
Hmm.
you have 10K retainers, you don't worry about what's going to happen to your agency. Then you're only worried about how to maximize revenue from customers. So, when you are targeting clients to pay you 10K retainers, you're not worried about how will my agency survive, right? Like, that's the last of your worries. Then your worry is, how can I push it to 15K? So I don't want to be in that situation where I'm worried about how does the agency survive. And there's data, if you look at the recent HubSpot study on agencies who have at least one 10K retainer are much more likely to succeed for the next 5 years to come
Yeah.
than agencies who don't have a 10K retainer. It's just the magic number. If you have just one client with that retainer, then you can use that as a cushion to do all of your sales outreach, email outreach, invest money in all of those things, invest your time, get more customers. But that's where the magic is.
But this is one of my favorite things with agency. Like, I love agency model more than a coaching model of doing things, because with
Hmm.
agency, I know for a fact if I just have 10 clients, and let's assume like a very simple number, let's say each client pays you 1 lakh. So you make about 10 lakhs, right?
Right.
You don't have to hunt for clients the next month. You don't have to, like,
Correct.
as long as you're doing a good job and you're taking care of their entire funnel, they won't fire you, or you don't have to look for another client. But with, let's say, another other models of doing businesses, like say coaching, or let's say product based, you have to keep on hunting for people over and over again. Might as well do a service,
Yeah.
work with less clients and just make more money overall. Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously there are different pros and cons of each businesses, but I also feel that, doing an agency is what makes me valuable enough to run a coaching business, right? Because
Yeah.
that, I think it's true with your business as well. It's true with my business as well. People listen to us because we actually do that stuff for clients,
Yeah.
right? And not just talk about it. Because there are coaches who are coaching but not doing it on the other side. So
Yes.
they lack that real life, real business case scenarios, which we can literally, like, I can pull up a dashboard and say, here's how I spend $1,000 a day on this ecom client. This is what we are doing. That's where the value is, because we are taking
Exactly.
that from the agency. In fact, we have a common friend, I'm not going to name names, but we have a common friend who recently asked me, should I do the agency, or should I do, I think he asked you as well, or should I do coaching? And I was like, dude, do the agency until you're like 40, and then you can just build a coaching business, sit on
Yeah.
the beach, relax. But do the agency, get all your services in place, get your case studies in place. That's
Yeah.
what you're going to teach in the coaching business, right? I mean, what
Exactly.
else are you?
Plus,
Yeah.
I think like what you mentioned, like we came up with that Loom video strategy that worked very well for you as well, right? That would not
Yeah.
have come across if I did not do cold email for my clients. Like suddenly I was doing
Yeah.
something and this clicked, like, oh, it works. Let's just copy that. Now again, I have come
Right.
up with a different strategy that is really working with people. That would I would never have
Mm.
advised this to our coaching clients unless I saw the same results for my agency business. So
Right.
it kind of
Correct.
goes hand in hand. But in general, if I have to like put me in like a ask me to choose just one, Jayant, you cannot do anything else, just pick one, I would always pick like an agency because I know I can just
Mm.
somehow it's because of experience. Like I think that's
Hmm.
how it
Right. I mean,
starts.
it's also like a good way that you said that, you would have been doing the same thing, but also you'd be teaching the same thing, right? If you were not doing execution. Like, I have a friend who's basically like, he enjoyed life a lot. He used to run a coaching funnel, and he's an analytics guy, and he focuses on Google Analytics. And at some point he got lazy. He moved to Bali. He's just sitting there, and then he gets this news that, GA4 and UA is going away and all that. And all his course content, like pre-recorded courses, was all about the old Google Analytics
Oh damn.
interface. So his passive income funnel is like duck. It's zero now, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have the motivation to come back and start seeing what's happening in this space,
Yeah.
because also ecosystem changes. I also don't believe that, there's like, especially people who say passive income from courses. I really don't believe that it's passive, because even I find like my courses, I need to update them. I need to go back and say, this is what I did new, so I need to update my course, put that in, and that's pretty much an active effort that, you have to make.
Oh my god, it's
So I'd
so
rather
much.
go.
Like I recorded
Yeah.
courses for Alpha Club 3 months ago, and now I feel like changing the entire. I don't know if you're in
Yeah.
the group right now, but we are doing
Yeah. Yeah.
another batch of group coaching every single week because I feel the whatever I've recorded earlier is like all gone. So
Okay.
more things need to be updated there. So yeah, that
That's true.
happens. I think that way it's correct. Like it's just an extension of your service, a coaching.
Hmm.
Yeah. But let's talk
And then you
about
create content, right? Because you document case studies from your agency, and that becomes your content creation, more or
exactly,
less.
exactly. Now let's talk a little bit about the e-commerce side of things because you have been a growth marketer that focuses on B2C pretty much, and that too like when
Yeah.
you mentioned me earlier that you focus on women-centric B2C, that like kind of so many sparkles in my head. So
Mm.
let me know a little bit about the kind of clients that you've worked with, the kind of results that you've brought in them.
Sure. So I think the first part of the question is more like the niche itself, right? So one thing that you want to do, whether you are digital marketing consultant, freelancer, growth marketing, growth hacking, you have to really choose something, because it's so broad that you could go all over the place saying, I do digital marketing, or I do growth marketing, and people only pay attention to you when they realize that this is something that's applicable to them, and they are the segment of people that you're talking to. So the way I've defined my niche is, um, women centric, because of the self purchase audience. So what I call it is like a self purchase audience, and
Hmm.
women would not need to consult anyone to make $100 purchase in the US, and they would do so. They would make $100 purchase within a minute's time. And if I show you my analytics report, you'll be surprised. People spend all on across my clients less than 30 seconds to make $100 purchase. And I tried to replicate that, man. I actually tried to go on an e-commerce website and decided that I'm going to make $100 purchase in a minute. It took me 10 minutes, and at the end my cart was less than $10. So
Okay.
so there's definitely that shows that there is a difference in how men buy and how women buy. So they find that, something shiny, something beautiful, they like it, it makes sense, they see a few reviews, maybe from influencers, they make that purchase, they don't have to think too much about it.
Oh, my wife
And
does that a
the reason,
lot.
yeah, exactly. So we all know from our wives that this is true. And that's why I like this audience, because the marketing funnel then becomes the sales funnel, right?
Hmm.
Like there's no, you don't have anyone else to blame for. You have control of the full funnel,
Yeah.
because with e-commerce D2C, you have the ad creatives, you have the product pages, you can do CRO there, you have the cart page, you have the checkout page, you can add payment methods there, you can follow up with email abundant cart flows, you can then follow up with reviews, you can then build a brand story. Like, there's no one else to blame,
Hmm.
and there's no sales team, there's no this and that. And I used to work with startups where I was literally like, half the time blaming the sales team for not closing my leads, or half the time there was a sales team coming back to me. I've seen that side as well, I've seen B2B as well. But with D2C, I loved the control that I had on the full funnel.
Hmm.
And not just that, I mean, there's a lot of course, I wouldn't deny there's a lot of money in that game. So that's like one of the reasons why. And also, it's very, very scalable. And
Yeah.
that's why this low ticket size, $100 is pretty much low ticket size when it comes to ecom. So this particular ticket size with the female audience is where the conversion rates are the best. So that's the reason why I picked this space, because when you're spending money, when you're running, performance marketing funnels, everything then boils down to what's the conversion rate like, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So we don't get issues from that side of the
So
that
the
side
the
of the
time
picture.
of the time to sell is like, the time in the funnel is very very small, as opposed to like a B2B
Correct.
funnel where it takes like months to close one deal.
Absolutely.
So you can like,
Absolutely. You're
hmm,
looking at a maximum of 7 days, including if someone just comes to your website, opts into your email list, gets a few welcome emailers, adds a product to cart, abandons it. So 7 to 10 days is where you can, if you don't make the sale, you just don't make the sale. But within 7 to 10 days, you make the sale. So you
yeah,
know exactly what your numbers are.
oh yeah, yeah. But I think on the front end it's about 2%, or what's like the average conversion rate that you see in any sort of
Yeah,
e-com.
2% is pretty good. I would say, I've seen stores start at a 1% without any CRO,
Hmm.
and then go up to 2 to 3% range. Once they're in the 2 to 3% range, typically they are then getting a 3x return on their ad spend.
Yeah.
If they are, if they can go crazy, above 3x, then typically they are in the 300 to 400% return range. So the
Hmm.
conversion rate then determines most of what happens to their business. And when we talk about returning repeat orders, then we are looking at average order value a little bit more than the first orders. The first orders, we don't care how many products they buy, we just want them to
Of
enter the
course,
funnel.
like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you ever combined like a e-commerce funnel with, let's say, a nurturing system? So I tell you what I used to do. I mean, I would probably, that this is my retirement plan. So I used to sell this push-up board because I was into fitness forever.
Okay.
Since it's been a while. So
Hmm.
my idea behind this was like, push-up board was just like a tripwire that I used to sell. That was in India, and I realized like, I used to think, okay, kids will buy this, like this gym going gym bros, all those people will buy.
Hmm.
But to my surprise, a lot of the people who bought that particular push-up board were like working men above 30, and that like kind
Hmm.
of changed my perspective. Oh, there are these people. So then I
Hmm.
added like a course on top of that, like
Hmm.
fitness for men
Hmm.
above 30, and those people bought that thing. And then I thought like, oh hey,
Okay.
why am I seeing this from like a e-commerce perspective? This can go like so deep. You can add physical product,
Hmm.
digital product. There can be an entire funnel from low ticket to like say high ticket coaching programs, and all those things can be built. Although I didn't do it because Didi hired me, then I just all these things
Okay.
happened. But have you ever thought of like building something like that, like a nurture sequence and like upselling product, or any of your client does that so far?
Right. So, I mean, most of my clients, we sell no-brainer stuff, right? So you don't need any sort of education to see that that is
Okay.
beautiful. That's really the truth of the matter is we want to sell the lipstick effect. You see the
Hmm.
lipstick, you see the bag, you see that dress, you see that skin cream, you see that hairstyle, you see that hair extension. You see it, and you know that you need to buy it. And that's like a very different audience. But yes, what you're saying absolutely makes sense when you have that education aspect which is required, right? So you were looking at a different audience and you realize this other audience may need it. I would imagine if you were to do like supplements to middle-aged men, they would have like a similar requirement. So but it's also something that they all need.
Hmm.
And one thing that we realized is, especially that comes back to the women centric thing, is that it's a no brainer deal. This is how it looks beautiful. and it's not about functionality, it's not about how it works.
Okay.
It's just how they behave, right? So the customers are easier to work with, I would say, to some extent,
Hmm.
because here's the product listing, here are some influencer pictures, and that's pretty much all they need to buy it.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That I forgot about that. So yeah, that way it's like the better you make the creatives, the easier you sell
Correct.
in that sort of a
Correct.
market. Yeah, crazy man. That's good. And how does upselling and cross selling happen in such a market?
Right. So, yeah, one way I think of upselling, cross selling is, it's not just about what else you can position with that product. It's more about completing the problem for the customer. So, right. So, for example, if you're selling a dress, then there's got to be a bag that goes really well with that dress. So that's like one way to think about it.
Whoa, wow! I
So you are,
didn't even hit my
yeah.
mind. Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, we are used to, like, for our agency, we're used to think of it like in a very different way. So we are like, okay, now you have acquired people, now you need to retarget them, now you need to send them email campaigns. But this is just very, very simple. You got this dress, but this bag would go really well with the dress. Now all you need to do is find someone on Instagram who has the same dress and the bag together, get the UGC content done, put it on their face. Really, that's I mean, this is just how the industry works. You put it on their face in an email campaign, and it's pretty straightforward. Like, you have all of these options on Klaviyo where you can segment by the products they bought, right? So if they bought anything from a specific collection, then I can match it to another collection and say, hey, there's this collection of bags which goes well with this collection of dresses, and then there's a makeup kit that you can slap on top of it, which goes really well with that dress and that bag. So you can create all of these permutations and combinations, and then test all of those out. And those are the A/B tests that we do. And then we figure
Hmm.
out, okay, we feel, or the company feels, the designer feels that this bag and this dress goes well together, but users feel that this bag and this dress go well together.
Yeah.
So we use a plugin called Conversific on Shopify, which tells us what two products are bought together most frequently, and
Hmm.
then using that, we can plug that into the Klaviyo flows of people who have purchased A will be shown B, and so forth. And then the same thing can be used in the frequently bought together section on Shopify and other things. So
Those
mostly,
are the CRO
you know,
stuff that you do
yeah.
together. Hmm.
Yeah. So that falls into the AOV category, because
Hmm.
sometimes what happens is, for the conversion, it's sometimes better not, like, we've done this experiment. Like, this is really crazy. We removed the frequently bought together section and the conversion rate went up.
Oh,
And
okay.
and then we were like, okay, because women get confused when they see more options, right?
Okay.
So they're like, okay, I already had this in my bag, but now they're like, can I also get this?
Okay.
And now it's something else came on their Instagram news feed, and they forgot about that, right? So they're distracted, they are confused. I mean, this is in general for humans,
When you're
but
dealing with this impulse buy products, the attention span is so low that you have to like keep them in the
correct,
funnel for as long as
exactly.
possible and do your best to like
Right.
keep them engaged there. That's
Yeah,
right.
you have to go deeper within that short width of time.
Hmm.
So they have a few seconds, they're scrolling on their Instagram feed, they come across an ad, they click on the ad. Now you got to make that first purchase. So on the first purchase, we never show the frequently bought together. We only show it for returning users,
Okay.
because returning users now trust you. They have a little bit more time to scroll through your website. They're probably coming as direct traffic, not as referral traffic in this case.
Hmm.
So they have a little bit more. So we segment out the direct traffic and never show them the performance, the frequently bought together.
Oh, okay. Got it. That's interesting. And for the returning visitor, it becomes more like you increase the AOV there, so that ultimate
Yeah.
lifetime value of the customer increases.
Correct. And there are, like, the small things in this industry become really big, like return rates. It's not a big deal when you're dealing with an information product or something like that. But with fashion or with skincare or hair care, return rates become like a big issue for the business. So
Hmm.
returning customers will always have lesser return rates than, first orders, because they know the sizes, they know how it fits, they know how it looks. So
Hmm.
that's like, those are things that matter. So even if you boost the conversion rate and then alongside boost the return rates, you are at the same level. So you don't
Oh.
want to do that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So how do you make sure that they return? I know email and SMS campaigns are one way. What are some other ways that you deploy that? Like you let them know, hey, we have this offer, come in and buy, or like what's that?
Right. So the big four are email, SMS, push notifications, and Facebook Messenger. At least in the US,
Facebook
Canada
Messenger.
market,
Okay. Oh wow.
Facebook Messenger.
I never.
So what we do is we use Facebook Messenger retargeting. There's an app which sort of links your Facebook ads, people who have then liked your page, etc., and people who've ordered from you, finds them on Facebook, and then sends them a sequence to run campaigns or transactional messages, whatever you
Oh
would like to
wow.
do. Of course, we can add WhatsApp in different markets, but for US Canada, mostly it's not the best performing
Hmm.
channel
Okay.
when it comes to retargeting. I know it is for India and other countries, but for US Canada, it's these are the big four. Push notifications have started working really well because then they can get it on their phones once they subscribe. Once they say yes to your push notifications, let's say Labor Day is coming soon, you can then send them a notification that hey, Labor Day sale, blah blah blah. It comes on their phones whether or not they have the app. So
Hmm.
that's like an advantage of push notifications as well. But yeah, those amongst those four, we target to get 40% additional revenue for our clients. So if we are getting 30% from email, then SMS, push notifications, recard can all like Facebook Messenger can all work together to get another 10 to 15%. And that becomes like a 40-45% revenue coming back to the client, which is amazing, right? In terms of
Hmm.
returning customers.
Yeah. Oh wow. Got it, man. So this is the client side of things happening, right? So when you're working with a client, these are some
Yeah.
of the improvements that you do, and my brain is just firing up with all the things that you can do. Like add like a frequently brought together push notification, SMS,
Yeah.
emails. Oh wow. But I never even
Crazy.
thought about
E-com is crazy. Yeah, I mean, the level at which Amazon is experimenting, we always have to compete with those sort of levels of experimentation. So we're always thinking of, simple things like adding a size chart to reduce returning rates, check if that actually, I mean, reduce return rates from orders, check if that makes sense. And then you can only test like one or two things at a time. So that's another challenge because you have all of these stages of the funnel where your landing page is the product page in case of D2C. Then you have the cart page. So you can do some experiments on the cart page, like a timer expiry. There are a few things, best practices that work. Then you can do some experiments on the checkout page. Then you have payment methods. Adding an extra payment method can improve that particular ratio by 10-20%. Then
hmm.
you're testing with afterpay and things like paying in installments and all that. And then you finally have like the final payment is done thank you page, within which you can actually get the second order right there if you're able to run an experiment
Like
and
a
be
one
like,
click upsell sort of thing you're
correct,
saying.
correct, correct. So now there are like the five different stages of the funnel, which are all in 30 seconds in one time that the user have to go through.
So crazy to
So
think
it's
about.
yeah, the game is so much more different than like we both are building like coaching and agency funnels and all that. So at least the person has time to absorb what you're doing, right? In this case, you are showing probably like 100 small hacks to the person in 30 seconds. You don't know what's going to work, and then you could collect data and then measure and improve on that. So it's just a crazy game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Have you ever tried something like ClickFunnels used to promote this physical product thing, right? They used to have this landing
Mm,
pages selling one product in one page, then upselling a bundle of those, then upselling something else, like in the series of landing pages with one click upsell.
correct.
Have you
Correct.
tested that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that works well for skincare. It works really well for skincare actually.
Hmm.
Skincare is one of our target industries, and for hair care, it doesn't work that much for fashion, etc. And I know that there's another app called Pagefly on Shopify which lets you do this. So we tested that, and for skincare, the conversion rates really blew up. And this was based on a case study by Firestone, this guy who does e-com content
Ezra
creation.
Firestone, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we tried to replicate that for a skincare client. He used to do it for a skincare client as well. So that worked really well. But
Hmm.
yeah, for fashion, it completely failed. I just think that if you have a big catalog, then people want to see the collections page. They just want to scroll and have as many options as possible before they can choose. And it's
Yeah,
just
it's the
about like
behavior is very similar
yeah,
to how you would shop offline. I think in fashion, you want to see a lot of
right,
things and pick the ones
correct,
that you like.
correct.
Unless I
Yeah, and
think
then it's just about like having a good mix of bestsellers and things that
hmm.
you want. Like there are bestsellers that you don't want to sell, right? Like there are bestsellers which maybe you're running out of fabric at the factory level. You know, something is happening, but this is like the bestseller. This is the best conversion rates. You want
Yeah.
to sell something, if you want to mix the bestsellers with some new arrivals with a few other products. So yeah, like you said, it has to be a good experience. That's why these shopping stores, even offline, are so messed up. It's hard to find like sections for everything,
Hmm.
except for Decathlon. I've not seen it anywhere because Decathlon everything is the same price. but 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 there are these stores which will have a 5,000 rupee ka dress and a 1,000 rupee ka dress and a 10,000 rupee ka dress, and they'll be in the same section.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why, right? So
Hmm.
so that combination is really important. Same thing happens on your collection pages on Shopify.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And that's why,
Yeah.
like, one hack really is to hide that filter and sort that Shopify has, where you can literally sort by best selling. Just hide it. Ask your developer to hide it, and
Oh.
then manually choose how you want to show the products to the user.
Oh, so that like, oh, wow. This is good. So that you push like they think that this is the best selling because they trust your store. This is
Yeah.
automated. Dude, this is next level stuff. Okay, this is good. And I used to do this for one client, but the only CRO hack that we put was like an afterpay and our conversion rate
Hmm.
just increased. So this store
Yeah.
in UK, they hired me to do like this copywriting stuff. I realized they don't need copywriting. They were selling this duplicate perfume, like replica of
Hmm.
the famous perfume
Yeah.
brands that's like pretty
Right.
big in UK. So
Hmm.
we used to see, they started with like £1,000 with us, and what used to happen is the card value was like just $29 because the thing is like just
Hmm.
$29. So what we
Hmm.
used to do, we would upsell them a bundle, but there in the
Hmm.
bundle we would say like you can get this in three easy installment, like that afterpay, Klarna, all those things we
Right.
installed. So with just that, the card value went from $29 to like $150 on average. And
Hmm.
within a month, we went from like £1,000 a month to like £12,000 a month during this the Christmas season that like really blew up during that.
Right.
So वहां से ही like I got, entered into this e-commerce market. See like all
Hmm.
the magic that can happen with
Yeah.
few small
Yeah.
tweaks, and you just see like the numbers go up
It's
so
amazing.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially this pay in installments was a game changer for ecom brands. And just by if you were to get a new client and say, I'll do CRO for you, if you want to just show them returns very quickly, just add a pay in installments, whether it's Afterpay or Klarna or whatever.
Yeah.
They will think you're a magician, but basically people just want to pay less upfront. That's all. So
That's all. Yeah. So, okay. Now that we are talking a little bit about agency stuff, because we are both in the
yeah,
same industry, let's say
yep.
somebody wants to start. I like your approach. You sell one service, then you upsell them the next, and upsell them the next. That's how it is, right? But there are
Mhm.
certain services in e-commerce that have become really competitive. Let's say, for example, an agency that provides performance marketing. So if you go ahead
Hmm.
and tell, okay, I'll
Yeah.
improve your ads, that's probably gonna suck now because pretty much everyone out there is a performance marketer for e-commerce, right? So
True.
what has your approach been like? What service do you target the most, and that helps you
Hmm.
land these clients that you have?
Right. I actually have a framework for this one. So
Interesting.
imagine like a two by two,
Huh.
and then on the x-axis you have demand, and then on the y-axis you have competition. So there's demand, and then there's competition, right? So can even draw it for you. So there's basically like this golden space, right, where it's demand and competition is both. There's demand and competition is both low. Then there's high competition, but there's like low demand, and then we finally have like high competition, high demand,
High
which is
demand.
basically performance marketing. Let's say for e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
So and I'll give you an example of something which was low competition, high demand, but it isn't anymore, and that's UGC content.
Oh yeah.
So
Nowadays it's
agencies, yeah. So there was a time when no one was providing it, but every brand needed it. And they used to basically reach out to individual people on Instagram and ask them to create UGC for them.
hmm.
But now everyone is providing it, right? To Meta and TikTok are providing it themselves. So, how I would suggest someone who's starting now, I don't need to do this strategy because I have a base of clients and I have case studies. But if you were starting out, then you want to start with the low competition, high demand, something like
Hmm.
this, right? So I told you about two retention channels which you didn't mention, email and SMS. You said email and SMS, and I said push notification and Facebook Messenger. These are
Oh
good
yeah.
examples. But the problem is people will benefit from it, but they don't really need it. They don't know that they need it. So
Hmm.
I still would place it in like that, low demand, low competition thing,
Hmm.
and that's usually like my upsell. So that's just my upsell. So how I would see this two by two is I would start with something which is high demand, low competition. So right now, I see in the industry there is that affiliate marketing has taken a backseat in D2C e-commerce, and it needs
Hmm.
to come back because
Yeah.
now they are talking about UGCs, but they're forgetting the fact that UGC is just content. But if
Hmm.
you were to have these people post that on their social media and give them coupon codes, that's where you can actually turn that UGC into revenue, right?
Hmm.
So if someone goes with this pitch and then slowly goes into something which is sort of the medium range, like email marketing, SMS marketing, retention, and then builds their way up to performance marketing, which is the high demand, high competition. There's a reason why it's high demand, high competition. Most of the money is there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you should just settle managing affiliates and influencers. You should then build it up and do retention marketing. And then you should build it up and do performance marketing, because
Yeah.
e-commerce, if you can easily handle the full funnel as an agency, you don't need to, depend on anyone else. If you are a good marketer, you can build the entire funnel. So my approach now is, since I already have case studies, I'm starting out reaching out with the retention pitch.
Hmm.
So the Klaviyo, email, SMS, and adding. Then my next upsell is push notifications, Facebook Messenger retargeting, and then I say, "Hey, what's happening? The revenue from Klaviyo is not increasing. What's happening to your ads, right? Like, what's happening? What's?" Because as soon as they blame me for Klaviyo becoming stagnant, which it will at some point. See, if they're getting
It depends
20%
on
of
the
their revenue,
traffic. So
yeah, it eventually, if there's no one coming to the website, how can I get them to opt in and then sell them something via email, right?
yeah.
So what I can promise is, they are doing, let's say, 15% revenue from email or 20%. I can push it to 30%. That's pretty much what I can do, or 35% if I go crazy with A/B tests and implementations. But what else can I do? Then they need to bring more people in the funnel in order to improve the revenue. So I can always go back to them and say, "Hey, what's happening to your performance marketing? Let me do a free audit for you." Then it's much easier because I'm already someone they trust,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but if I go out and say, "Replace your performance marketing agency with me," there's no one going to give a shit about that email, right? Because that's
Yeah.
something they get 100 a day of.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's just like my way of thinking about this. So just whatever industry, I think this two by two works for any industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So whether it's
That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Because that way you don't need any case studies. You just need to give like an idea to somebody.
Hmm.
That's
Exactly. But this could work too. Yeah.
hmm. And the easier it is to like opt into that. Like for example, uh, like with this perfume client, the offer that I made him is like, I'll not charge you in advance, but whatever sale you make, you
Hmm.
give me 10% of that at the end. I don't
Yeah.
care about your profit, revenue ka 10% de do. He was happy because his
Correct.
margins are very high. So for like 10,000 pounds, I just earned my first £1,000 in the D2C industry because he just agreed.
Hmm.
And he didn't have to lift a finger. I had to do just the CRO stuff.
Correct.
I think
Correct.
if
Correct.
you go with that kind of an offer where it does not put a lot of risk on the client, then I think it's like a very good way and build like
Yeah.
the trust and give like good results to these
Yeah.
people.
We had that recent client, Jayant, which I shared with you, the $3,500 retainer, right? So
Yeah.
this from this month on, it's going to be $5,000 a month, and so that's a $1,500 upsell in just 30 days.
Hmm.
And the only thing I told him was, "Hey, this is great, Clayview and all that, whatever we are doing." But in his email footer, he had social media links, and when you click on the links, nothing is happening on their social media profile. So I was like,
Uh,
and I showed him the click map from Klaviyo, that people are literally clicking on these social media channels and never coming back to the email because there's no activity on social media. fifteen
yeah.
hundred dollars we manage the social media for him. But the point is that there's so many ways to just upsell from there on. And like you said, once you're already making a $5,000 from a client, you can just say, "I'm also going to do TikTok ads for you and get 10% of the revenue. I don't need any retainer for that because your
Yeah.
costs are being recovered in the first retainer."
Yeah. You
Right.
can even give them like a 30-day trial. Like I'll
Correct.
work for you
Correct.
30 days. You see the results, then we can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you become
Yeah.
like a fractional CMO, like a marketing wing for
Exactly.
them by not being like
Exactly.
a full time.
Because then what happens is, there are agencies who are doing one thing. So there are agencies who are doing Klaviyo agencies. Then there are agencies who are performance marketing. But if you start to do this full funnel thing, you become irreplaceable, because
100%.
to replace you, they need to hire five agencies, right?
Exactly, exactly. I think that's the secret to agency retention, because I see all these big agencies. Uh, we have Adyogi in India, right? They do exactly this.
Mm.
They handle everything, and they pretty much
Yeah,
delegate everything, and because of which, they have very good retention in the company. And I think this is true for pretty much any agency out there. You start with one service that either has, I want to say, high demand, high competition. It should have high value and low reward, like high reward, low
mm.
risk. Sorry,
Low
that's
risk, yeah.
as
Got
long
it.
as we do
Yeah.
that, I think it's a good in. Mm. Like one guy approached me
Mm.
recently when it comes to like uh, YouTube shorts. He said like, hey, I'll build like 15 shorts for you,
Mm.
and if any one of them has less than 1,000 views, I won't charge you anything. I was like, oh,
Nice.
that's cool. So that sort of an offer, if you build, I
Yeah.
think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah. And he's
do that.
speaking your language, right? Like he's speaking your language. And then there's also like people who will literally just email you and send them first. They'll be like, "This is a shot for you. I made for you."
Oh yeah.
That's like the best pitch, right? Like this is a email campaign that I designed for your brand. I
Dude,
like
I have
that pitch a
hired
lot.
like three video editors at the same time because they just gave me, and I just reciprocated. हाँ तू भी दो कर ले, तू भी दो कर ले, तू भी दो कर ले.
Right, right, right.
That's how
सबको
it has
थोड़ा थोड़ा
happened.
काम मिल जाएगा. Yeah.
हाँ. Then I regretted like, oh shit, I should not have. I'm just so easy to get
Yeah.
sold to.
Now you have
Sold
to
to.
work with three people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Yeah. But yeah, man. So fun talking to you here. I'll like share some quick case studies that you have, done some amazing stuff with numbers and stuff. वो मजा आएगा सुनने.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So, first case study is like the one which is closest to my heart, because there was this fashion client who came to me with just an offline business. Like they literally didn't even have a Shopify store. And the day I set up their Shopify store, within 6 months, COVID happened, lockdown happened, all of those shipping issues happened. And except for the logistics part, it actually worked out in our favor, because people now started moving online and their offline business was completely shut down.
Hmm.
So they moved all their budgets. Imagine this big fashion house in the US
Is that?
moving their offline.
I mean, can I name it? That American Beyond. That
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
America and
okay.
beyond. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So that gave me the opportunity to actually build that funnel up, and
Hmm.
that's the first client where it all started. And within the first year, we did $1 million in revenue, and
Whoa. That's like.
and that's something that that was the first year, like from setting up the Shopify store to getting $500 of revenue a month for the first 3 months. We set up ad campaigns, we found winner creators, we found winner products, and scaled it to $1 million in a year. So that really got me into the game when it comes to
Dude, when you
seriously thinking
see
about
like
moving to,
million
yeah, when you
dollars.
see the, exactly. And the best part, Jen, is the next year we scaled it to $4 million. So we 4x.
Whoa. Crazy.
So the second year we did $4 million, and this is the third year. But the point is that before that I was still doing e-com and this and that, but a few other things. I was working with startups, I was consulting startups. But that's when I said, this is my game. I want to go deep into this D2C stuff, and this particular target audience, since that's a fashion brand, I got into that female audience because I understood that audience really well. And then I realized, female fitness products, skincare, hair care, all of these are very, very related industries.
Hmm.
So that's like one big case study, is from 1 million, 0 to $1 million in 1 year to $4 million in the
How,
second year.
what would it look like? Like say $1 million, matlab almost like 90,000 dollars a month. That's $3,000 a day. Let's say average cart is $100. That's like 30 orders a day is what you, on an
Yeah.
average.
So
Like obviously it doesn't look
we
like
were,
that
we
always.
were It looks like that, and we were dreaming of getting an order an hour. Basically, that's how we had calculated it.
Oh
So
wow, yeah, one
every
order an hour.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we were like, if you don't get a notification of an order every hour, then something is wrong, right? But of
Yes.
course, it happens in the waking hours and all of that stuff. But on an average, it comes to like one order an hour.
Hmm. All right, that's crazy, bro. If you scale it to 4 million is like, can't even think how many orders it is. But yeah, amazing. Right. That's
Yeah.
super.
So
And
yeah, so it's same, same process that I said. Start building the performance funnels, um, got them from 1% conversion rate to 2% to beyond that. So slowly scaling everything up. AOV was like $70. Now it's $125. Slowly adding all of these layers of experiments. Like you always do it in layers.
hmm,
That's what I believe. So you have this. You have the best practice layer. On top of that, you have the hacks layer, and on top of that, you have the trends layer, right? So something is trending, you can add that on top, like those three layers.
yeah.
And yeah, that was this is still a journey, still a client, still working together, and one of the biggest case studies that I had.
Yeah, yeah. I actually read about them on your blog. And for
Yeah.
everyone who wants to learn a lot more, you should check out his website, maplinks.com, maplinks.com. And you also have a growth marketing program, is it, Rishabh? Let's talk about that for 5 minutes.
Right, sure. So there's a free growth marketing course that anyone can take at growthmarketingcourse.com. It's a very easy domain to remember.
Like, no
But
creativity
I'm not,
whatsoever.
yeah, no creativity there whatsoever. Growthmarketingcourse.com. Still believe in SEO.
Yes, yes.
So I don't want to come by, don't want to let my creativity come in between search engine optimization. So that's the place where they can get the free course. But there's also a community that I'm building of entrepreneurs, freelancers, marketeers. This was suggested by Deepak after I had a few calls with him. So it's called GrowthGrad. It's at growthgrad.in, GRAD, GrowthGrad. So it's the place where you have the courses, but also you can interact with people, talk to people who are in the similar journey as yours. And of course, one of the things that helped me build this is Alpha Club. So I should definitely mention that, having calls with both you and Deepak for both my businesses, the agency and the coaching, is
Awesome.
something that has really helped me. Because as I'm off the grid, man. I live near the beach. I live in Vietnam. I hardly, go to these meetups and events. So for me, this community is like the place where I can have these conversations
Yeah.
outside of, you always go and speak on podcasts about yourself, and you're sharing your inputs just like this podcast. But in the Alpha Cup calls, you guys are talking about what I should do, and that's where the inputs come in, and then I can process those inputs. That's like the biggest advantage that I found. Like you mentioned, I'm not even in the group, but I still find that value of those calls that we do.
Yeah.
Like that's really the thing for me. So yeah, building both these funnels. Happy if people want to check it out.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool, guys. This has been a wonderful podcast. And thank you very much, Rishabh, for sharing some golden nuggets. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of the e-commerce marketers. In fact, I have been getting a lot of requests by e-commerce marketers ki like, sir, कुछ tips बता दो, क्या बता दो?
Okay.
मेरे को पता है किसको
Nice.
interview करना है.
Uh,
So yeah, that's how we started. So yeah, man, thanks a lot for coming to the podcast. And
awesome, man.
see
Always,
you,
always
see
fun
more of
talking
you.
to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chalo. Okay.
Chala. Bye bye.